I'm happy to be here. Thank you for inviting me. My life is a story in visuals, and I thought that it would be best told as a visual story. So it will go by very fast, almost like a movie, because it has so much information to put it into 45 minutes. But I'd like to take you through a little bit of my life, which nobody I have, really shared with, and then my work. So I begin with this is where I come from Kerala. My grandfather's home was here, and we came here every summer for holidays, and I learned swimming on these backwaters, in fact. This is like a family home belonging to my mother's family, and we used to eat on banana leaves and eat this delicious Kerala food every time we went. My father was in the railways. He was one of the first Indian officers for the British Railways. So we had the luxury of traveling all over India, north to south, in these beautiful saloons made by the British at that time, with balconies like this, where we could look out and enjoy the views which were behind us. I came from a very well read family, very well educated, and they were all like, this is where my father's house in Chennai. We went back recently to visit. That's my mother. She's the principal. She was the principal of a college for 30 years. My sister, a PhD in nuclear physics, the other one, an IAS officer, and my brother was doing medicine. But I chose to go the wrong way, as you can see. I was the youngest. My daughter drew this for me on my 60th birthday, saying, "This is her mom," okay, which is going the wrong way. And there I am on the left. You can see I was a good athlete in school, best outgoing athlete, but I had to beg my parents to come to Bombay. They wouldn't allow me. And I finally got my way, came to Sophia. There I met a young man, a Parsi. We got married and we have two lovely children, as drawn in this storybook by my daughter on my 60th birthday. And I bought this painting quite early on when we moved in here, and it was a painting about with just the heart, the jigsaw missing, and there was a separate piece, which was the extra piece. In this, I thought about it and I fitted my words of what my family has given to me, what have I got from my family, and what have I learned from others, which is really the core of my being. So I put words that I could find which fit into this heart. And there is a little bit empty because I welcome new and more, thoughts to add into this core, which I'm always looking for. Out of this, you see the things that I love, which is nature, travel, family, art, design, running. These are the things that any one of you can make a chart like this to know, where are you today? Where do you hold your values really? And what are the things you love, and try to piece it together. But as you know, for me, it's always a quest for that missing piece. It begins with a home which we made in Kashid about 30 years ago or more. We had gone on a holiday, me and my husband, to Mykonos, and we fell in love with the island, and we wanted to recreate that in a small way. And so we did it with Nozu Wadia, an architect. At that time, he was young, and this was one of the first houses he did in Kashid. And we had only three. We didn't even couldn't afford the 3 acres. So I got my business partner Ashok Kurian. At that time, I had started working in advertising, to buy one half, which we planted mango trees, and the other half we built this small. I mean, we said small, but Noza made it of 3 bedrooms at the time. A few years later, yes, we did the landscape. We really made it green, and it is suddenly a piece of Mykonos with the Kerala landscape around, which was quite an amazing combination. It's lovely to be there. We sit in a sofa which is inside the pool. That's my husband's idea and his favorite seat. There are birds that fly which come to our pool side. There are flowers, champa flowers blooming of which I take photographs and I make paintings on the walls in the kitchen with the photos. We eat outdoors, we have breakfast outdoors. Every single weekend, we are there. And it is with rain or sun. There's even an outdoor bathtub. I mean, with running water. I mean, this was there at one time. We keep adding to it and subtracting. Cows come in from somewhere, some horses come in from somewhere. It's quite a jungle out there, and the bees are, moving. There are butterflies. There are beautiful hanging bits of nature. There are giant spiders. There are, it's like a forest at places. And my children, I painted into little wild animals and sent them out into the jungle. When we visited Mykonos again, and my daughter walked through Mykonos, she just felt like it was her own home. As you can see on the right, it is our own home. It looks like it's one and the same thing for the children. They ran around like it was their home. Uh, this bougainvillea I photograph and then I print it and put it onto cushions on my sofas. I watched the kids play on the beach. The beach was absolutely deserted and white sand when we went. And I made that into the Navjot card for the children. And this was our invitation. We invited guests to Kashid for the Navjot. I got this lovely photo done also by Farooq Chotia for the Navjot. We live in Kashid, really. We come to Bombay to work and for the children to go to school. But our whole lives are in Kashid. And as you can see, my son with his Lego, my daughter with the sand, they're in the pool. He plays PlayStation all night. But it's a very content atmosphere. Everybody's happy in their own surroundings and together. There was music. My husband and my daughter has naturally become a musician and sound engineer. And my son has become a car designer, maybe inspired by what he could do. There was how I'm a Christian, so I bring in little artifacts from here and there. This is from Jewtown in Cochin. And the massage man brought me this piece of driftwood, which he carved into a shape because he saw I had set up a little nativity set, in the garden. I take any container, if it's a rock piece, a shell, a bowl, a bottle, anything, and I put one flower in because I think, if you have something, you bring it into the house, it takes on a whole new meaning. The poinsettias came with spots on them. I was amazed and I brought that into the house because it is an art piece by itself. Even a simple tulsi plant can be within a container and look glorious inside your house. Tulsi in the bathroom and little portions can give off fragrance. I made niches in the walls, and instead of putting expensive silver artifacts, I stick bamboo into it. It's a connection with nature somehow inside and outside. I said, why not put a bunch of bananas as a flower arrangement in the house? And I also put, my maid brings this lovely son champa, which is the best room fragrance ever. So it's always in my table in the mornings. And we grow plants and we grow vegetables, and I have a zucchini flower surrounded by parsley and oregano and dill. What I try to grow there, I bring seeds in, I make tomatoes. I like the look of them as much as the taste of these herbs. And I stick it into the pastas that we make. And then there is an urli, and big old urli my mother gave me along with these stone things. So we put flowers in them. My daughter she makes beautiful pancake desserts. She's a very good cook, and she uses flowers which are edible on it. My house is filled with all kinds of fruit, flower, fauna and seashells. I have the most amazing collection of seashells. I carry back from anywhere I travel, seashells, rocks, stones. It's in my suitcase. This is a photograph of Sempe, which I put in my bathroom, it's a lovely imagination of us going down to the beach with the children. It is semi-indoor and semi-outdoor, the bathroom too. So I feel like I'm bathing outdoors. The house is all indoors and outdoors. And I had given Noza clearly the brief of making it like Mykonos, but it was his idea to make it all one room deep so that you have the indoor and outdoor in every room you look on either side. So it's only one room deep, but it had, here again is my husband who's left out in the rain, but I think he's quite happy there. This is my inheritance from Chennai, which came by a truck, a tamarind tree in my mother's house, and all her old grinding stones, my father's old battery cases, which came from Assam. Those are all my flower containers and my stools and my pedestals. Next door, we had made this mango orchard. Now my business partner wanted to build a little cottage for his two children, Ashok's two children. So we created a little cottage over there next door for them. But it continued with the style of the Greek Mykonos style. It was a little younger in flavor. Uh, his daughter Dia fell so much in love with the place, she wanted to be married there. So I made the wedding invitations and all the invitations that went with it for 300 people to arrive. And I made her name in wood, as you can see, Dia and Kapil on the beach. Uh, and this is the wedding card I made with an om made out of shells and a cross because she's half Christian. And here is a very happy Dia who was waiting for just before her wedding, and she had to get dressed. I love running, and so I continue to run in Kashid every weekend. I run here too, so I do that quite often, about 3-4 times a week. And my running, however, is intercepted with great highs and great lows. Either it's a gold medal or I'm fainting somewhere in between and coming on the front page of Midday. I didn't suffer a cardiac arrest. This is what Midday wrote. And then there was, so I thought to myself, what are all the tools that I can have to take forward into my work and into my life and my whatever I was doing, whatever I was. So there was simplicity, there's a sense of adventure and a reinvention and empathy because I know what people like. I feel I know what people like and I listen and escape. Of course, we all need to escape. This was for Charles Correa more than 30 years ago. He asked me to do a beach resort in Goa. It was nothing like what you see on the left, which is most beach resorts in Goa. He told me it would be white cottages on sand, like a Mediterranean style. So I drew this little logo for him and I said, let it look like this. And he was very happy with this. And instead of making these large advertising visuals which look like this, I put a little bit of charm and homeliness into the cottages. I said, if it's white sand and stuff, let's have room service delivered on a yellow bicycle. And Charles built me this gate actually, just because, by the way, there was no hotel. He was still to build it, but the builder needed to sell the rooms. So we needed to have advertising out. You see, it's always like that. In advertising, we are making up realities, which sometimes are to be and sometimes never, I think. Uh, and here we are. This is actually what Charles made for me and how I made the ad out of it. I made one more about a seagull cafe and one more about the side of a cottage. I made the chairs, I made the table, I gave it an ambience. And in fact, I must tell you that this I learned, it was a good tip which all of you can take, is that when I went for a sketching trip to Gorai from college, my teacher, art teacher, she said, I said, it's really so filthy, it's so dirty, there's garbage, there's pigs. She said, just draw what you like and don't draw what you don't like, ignore the rest. So I thought that's a pretty good philosophy. Now, even when I think of it, do what you like to do and leave out the unnecessary, eliminate the unnecessary. If you see that seagull ad, it is shot here. Okay, it's another swimming pool. There are two people holding the seagulls on a ladder. There is Prabhudo Dasgupta, the photographer there, and there's me behind. And can you see the crazy surrounding? And in that, we managed to get just that one photo. So eliminate the unnecessary. That time, garden saris, this was for garden saris. All sari advertising sort of looked like the one on the left. They had a celebrity sometimes, like Sri Devi. And I said, let's keep to the simplicity that I was, all my tools came into be. I said, let's shoot it outdoors in this bright sun and on a textured white ground with a sheet of water falling in front. So the sari is sometimes in and out of oblivion. Even the client brought beautiful prints. He said, I'll do matisse on the pallu, or I will do this. He was really excited, my garden client, and he printed for the campaign. We designed blouses at that time with Abu Jani, who was helping us with doing blouses. And we got a young girl called Madhu Sapre who came to me for a thumbs up ad. She was India's leading discus thrower, national discus thrower, but she didn't speak a word of English. I had to guide her. Shantanu was the photographer, and he guided her into putting her into the clothes, the styling and the clothes, and we got this out at that time. It, And then another young girl walked in, Aishwarya Rai. She was 18. She was an architecture student. They were loving the work that we were doing. I started gathering young girls who wanted to design and also young models who wanted to model by showing advertisements like this. There were more and more people. In fact, this advertisement of Aishwarya was shot by one of my girls, Yvonne, in my house in Kashid, because at that day I was delivering my first baby. And I remember her bringing to the hospital the transparencies for me to select the final ones which went in. I managed to see the film. And then there was Lisa who came in as well, and I shot her for Garden and for Lakme. In Garden, again, one of my young girls we sent her to the old fading castle in Janjira, which was next door to Kashif. And I requested the Nawab, and he allowed us to do this shoot. So it was really nice. Then I put Lisa into a whole new avatar, like an old Hollywood actress, and I used her for a Lakme perfume ad. I mean, even today, it would look like, one of those old Hollywood with a lot of admirers. I launched BPL mobile phones in Kashid with the idea that a mobile phone can be used anywhere. And now here's your office on the beach. I brought the same national discus thrower Madhu Sapre to Kashid with the national swimmer Milind Soman, and here she is with the discus with the tough shoes. I wanted strong athletic bodies showing strength, and I put Milind Soman on the pedestal on the beach, and he was covered with plaster, and this sort of caked on him so that he actually looked like a stone sculpture. And then, of course, came the famous ad which we got arrested for. Prabhudo said, they are so beautiful, they are such beautiful athletic bodies. Would you mind if you took your clothes off? They didn't mind. But of course, the whole world was very objectionable they objected to this. As you can see, the floor is in Kashid, it is in our home. And the snake was also brought, and we were arrested on many fronts. For 14 years, it went on in court, but I think the jury was a very honest and just hearing after that. At the time, Johan was about 2 years old. We were on the beach. We were coming back to the beach frequently. And I decided to do inanimate objects instead and not get into trouble anymore. I started with putting fresh strawberries on a toy truck to say how much strawberry you get in jam. I put smiling faces on jam for Sil jams. I made a Rolls Royce. I started playing with the food. I made a Rolls Royce out of nut and put ice cream blobs saying the Rolls Royce of ice cream has arrived for Vadilal. I did gajar halwa with vanilla ads for Vadilal. And then Theo Broma came along. I was running beside a fellow runner and the founder and chef of Theo Broma, Kainaz. And I told her, I said, your current brownie box is very dull. Your brownies are so delicious. Can I do something for you? She had no idea what was coming. And I drew for her, I got it drawn, of course, from an artist, a little drawing of Kushruba, Kukulaba, and I gave it a sort of a French look, but with all the inhabitants that we have here in Mumbai. And that became her brownie box. And suddenly she was absolutely amazed that everybody wanted that box. Even if you bought a cake or a bread, people said, can I take it back in that box? That started the beginning of many other boxes. And for the boxes, I decided instead of showing yummy looking shots, food shots like this, why don't we show the interiors of a lovely place like you're having afternoon tea and cake on the outside in charming drawing style, which we did. That carried on to the interior. So the interior sort of took on the look from the packaging of all the stores. And I think that Kenaz's yummy food was anyway all on display to be seen. And it's a moderately priced brand. So it did really well. And I'm so happy that she's still going strong today. I did a workshop with Hindustan Levers with the skincare division, and there were all these people attending it. And you work in an office like levers can get quite monotonous at times. So at break, I told them, let's take bel puri elements, all of us, and take all the ingredients separately and make something out of it. I mean, this was a program to how to be creative anyway. So I said, let's make. So this is actually what these people from Hindustan Lever, the management graduates, they came up with. I was so delighted. They were so delighted. We all had a good laugh. My mother continued with all her efforts. Even at 92, she launched her recipe book, for which I did the cover. And this, I think, was my most difficult assignment I've ever done. I mean, we argued until the very end about every detail. This I realized was I really loved to be in my own home. And when Atmosphere Textiles came to me, I loved their textiles. And I knew I could make stories out of them even in my own home. You know, it was almost like working from home. So I took their fabrics, I put it onto my chair at home, and we shot this ad. It became one of the first ads for Atmosphere. And when I met Jayashri at the Atmosphere Factory in Bangalore, she was so taken up by nature and all those things around. So she also embraced her idea of bringing nature into the textile, and my bringing the actual leaves or the actual flowers into the advertisements. I started painting leaves onto the girls' bodies, which echoed the leaves that she put on the sofa. I put actual bougainville, gulmohar flowers on the girl's head to echo the curtains which had gulmohars. And we did a series of beautiful ads. That's when I thought, light and shadow and all these things of nature, they really inspire me. Why don't I get in? And these sets were coming very easy to me to do. So I said, okay, why don't I do some interior design? Noza Wadia at that time was offered this job, which was to do the 35th floor on the Four Seasons terrace. This is how it looked. He took me there with his client, introduced me to the client, and said here's Elsie, and she will do it for you, because it was just too small a job for him at that time. I thought it was very dull. I thought the chairs looked like they were belonged to a swimming pool side anywhere in any hotel. It didn't look unique at all. So I got a team working together. Annalisa from Italy, from Milan, Ritunanda, she was a stylist, and we worked together. And this was, I looked at furniture. By that time, I had met an industrial designer, Ross Lovegrove in England, and his kind of furniture, these kind of things were inspiring me. And I thought, why don't we make a futuristic bar where it is like almost like it's like you're on another planet up on the 35th floor. And we drew a plan. And this is the first time I saw a plan. And I said, wow, we have to work with I saw in the sense I had to work on a plan. I had to count the number of chairs which went in. And it was very exciting, all of this. And we laid it out to look like this with Ross Lovegrove's vase in the center, as you can see. And here it is, a beautiful outdoor bar, which of course got very well acclaimed. And that's when I thought, this is actually interesting. It gives me great joy. Let me pursue it. I started working on the restoration of the Mahindra Gateway building in 2004, I think, with Noza Wadia. Noza got the job, and I helped him with the whole styling and interiors. This is the boardroom, in fact, where I got one of my people in ambience to do a chandelier of the front grille of the Willy Jeep. So it's a series of the front wheel of the Willy Jeep with the headlights as the lights on the table. I got NID to do a competition with the students to do designs for the tapestry which went behind it. And this on the right is a exhaust pipes which we made coated in copper and hung up as a huge installation in the Worley office. The roof of the corporate building there was interesting because it was a lovely sloped roof, and I discussed with Noza the possibility of making it glass so you could appreciate the beautiful architecture around. It took him a very long time and a lot of permissions, but he was excited and he wanted to do it as well. So it came to be. It's a beautiful glass roof with this church in front of it as well. And inside is like a conservatory of green. It is absolutely the living room, and it is all in a greenery, in complete like it's like a, and these plants, each of these plants, I named it. I gave them name tags with the design on it so that you feel every plant is precious. And that brought again my connection to nature within a home. The bedrooms too, there was a little bit of fun with painting the old wrought iron into colors and bringing the bird and the nature theme in. And it was like a fairy tale, putting this together, because it was such a lovely, heavenly light. The next place is also a place which had a lot of plants, but they didn't want it, which was a Breach Candy cafeteria, which they said was very dirty, and it was actually the plants were attracting mosquitoes and people were getting dengue. So what could we do to make it look better and warmer for them? So they also had a sort of a acrylic roof which let the sun in on top, but it was semi-outdoor and outside. I made screens everywhere. I put a little bit of a yellow awning so you get a lovely yellow glow. I put lamps, everything plastic, outdoor stuff, and I put benches, tables, and chairs. And I called it the Seagull Cafe because, Breach Candy is right next door to the sea. So there's my connection to the outdoors again. And I think that it's a lovely place. People are very happy with it. In fact, they find their little oasis here in the midst of the hospital and, being the stress of being in a hospital. This was the dining room, which Harsh Goenka first gave me and said that, can you redo this and give me a maximalist style is what his brief was. And I knew that he had a lot of paintings that I could use. And I thought this looked very dull, and the buffet tables, which you can see in a small picture, looked also very, bad for a lovely space like this. The outdoors did not have any access, in the sense you could go out, but it was mounds of grass rather than a walking space. And they did have space outdoors. This is in the heart of Worli. I cleaned up the whole outside. I made it accessible. I built a fountain to echo the building, which was a Jaipur fountain with the grill from there too. I covered it with plants. They have a wonderful Mali who's my best friend there. The outdoors is this side on the right hand side, which is you can walk out and sit. The left hand side is, I painted a dark gray. At first, he was very apprehensive about the dark gray. He said, "Oh, it's going to be so dark." I said, "No, it's like a jewel box. You have got so many paintings. Once you look at it from the outside in, it would look to me like a jewel box." And I planned every painting, where it would go, the size of each one. This came from my advertising past, so I could actually show him how it would look. And there it came to be. And they loved it so much. It's become their corporate dining room, and that started actually many projects in the RPG building. And if you look at it from the outside, so it is indeed a jewel box. The lobby. So I'll show you a few of the projects because we don't have the time, but this was for SEAT, for the lobby of SEAT. And I thought that we should do a winding highway and maybe make use of the tire track. And explained it to them saying, we make tire tracks white on white in Korean on a white wall, and it looked very glamorous. And really, I didn't have a clue whether it would work. And I mean, imagined it would work well. Nobody had an idea. It was a very expensive suggestion, but it came to be. I was so relieved. It really looked lovely. And I made tire tracks out of linen, which I got printed with tire tracks printed on them. So they look like wheels, and they were put up in the meeting rooms in SEAT. I even used part of their branding, which is like the three stripes from the logo. They came on the left in three vertical stripes. I designed much cleaner spaces, and even here I went out into the outdoor. The offices almost seamlessly goes onto the terraces that they have. And there too, I put a color scheme in of the brand SEAT. Uh, when they gave me a lot of things like cricket bats and tennis rackets and balls, which have come from auctions and from precious people, sometimes even precious things from a ball from Pele or Muhammad Ali's gloves. He has collected all this on an auction. So I take these bats, which are signed by all the famous cricket people, and I make it carefully plan where we do what and how we detail each and every item. As you can see, it takes a lot of work to research each item and the number of cricketers who've signed, put it on, and Pele's ball in a basketball hoop, all of that we planned. And on the other side, I said, why don't we do something fun? And we made it as if the cricket ball was going to smash into a lot of wickets. And here's the guy with the actual bat batting the ball. This is a real meeting room in RPG. Sorry. So then finally, after I did almost all the floors, he gave me the lobby, in the sense that they said, we want to put a digital wall on this wall lobby. And it was only going to be half the height of this lobby. and put it in here and to help them. And I said, it really cannot work in this kind of a lobby, a modern digital wall. So he was, of course, he agreed with me. He said, yes, in fact, it should echo the whole, modern, young, and sentiment of today. I suggested we paint the whole thing white, and we have proposed seating in niches over there. That's the digital wall you see on the left. On the right, I said we can echo the same niches but put artwork inside. I asked Sameep Padora, an architect, to design like an artist the central pillar, which would be a grid, golden grid emerging in a twist onto the ceiling. And then I even suggested making inlaid patterns on the floor, like 4 carpets on the floor of the lobby, inlaid in marble, wood, and granite, made in Jaipur and brought in. I mean, nobody else would have agreed to such a crazy pattern. Here's the lobby plan where you have different carpets in different areas, niches for seating, and a digital wall, and another carpet which could sort of make you feel a bit. But it came to be. It was actually happening. These were drawings, these were real photographs. These were the photographs of the grid coming up over the pillar, and this is the final lobby. And once again, it's situated in the center of the plot. So there is a little building on either side as you drive in. So I made that as green as I could also. So this is the seating and the artwork on that side, and a lobby area where you wait for the lift. Uh, when you go straight in, this is again the lobby, as you said, on the left. I fill it with green. So you feel again the connection with the indoors and the outdoors. In here, you go straight in and you go into a ground floor office, which earlier was like a basement office. It was completely closed. It was called Rekem. For Rekem, I opened up the entire office. I broke all the walls and I filled the side of the plot of land with plants. Everywhere green. I brought the green in somehow for every place. And they wanted it to be an open office plan. So this would be the seat for the financial controller. This would be the seat for the HR. And I said, why don't we treat it like a home in the garden? Because it was an open office and it was sometimes people come to this seat or that seat. It's that new way of working, which will work now for them. And it goes out into this balcony also where you can sit out and walk out. Again, I put up all the bamboo around so that you don't face the main road. It's on the main road in Worli, the building. So now I come to the most like heartfelt house, I would say. I did for my runner and coach, just I did it for him. And for that, anything, he inherited an old Portuguese bungalow by his mother, and he had no clue what to do with it or how to keep it. And I said, let's keep some of the old chairs and let's paint and redo the whole thing, which we did. So the great thing about it was anything I wanted, if I wanted paint, there was a runner who would deliver the Asian paints, the painters and everything. If I said I want a chandelier, there would be a runner saying, I will donate the chandelier. If there was anything, air conditioning, I want to do air conditioning if you want air conditioning. Poor Savio said, no, I don't want to pay air conditioning costs and things like that. But it became a home of love and a home which was just a testament to the goodwill of this runner, coach. There was a hospital in Thane, which is a mother and child hospital. The logo was a red cross and birds flying out. And so I thought, because it's a mother and child hospital, why don't I select the concept of nesting with little birds on it? And then the birds fly out and become bigger birds on the ceiling like this, with again the Pondicherry linen lamps like a cloud shapes. Inside I made lovely floral paper, so the hospital, but it exists in Thane. It's a mom and child birthing center. For the same client, they had a lovely wall, a whole living room, which I did, and they had a wall they wanted to dedicate to the most important artwork, and they already had every most important artwork anyway. So I said, why don't we make it a little different? Because I had noticed they had lovely little precious small things which were gifted by family. I bought an old cupboard in Jogeshwari. I painted it and I started to select objects from their past that would go into it. So, like a little old clock, the little marble lamp from the grandfather, a hip flask, perfume bottles, even the boy's head boy badge and his head boy badge and his first credit card. You can see I put it into little baskets. I painted the background, and for them, this suddenly took on the most meaning. It became the central piece of that living room, not just the artwork. For a marble client, this came full circle to me from Noza's son Behram. In fact, Behram Wadia, who's a young architect, he was going to do a marble show home for Quarry in Kanjur Marg here in Bombay. And it was the catalog, the marble catalog, instead of just putting marble as it, I said, why don't we make things out of it? So we made he made a marble table tennis table. That was his idea. But I put marble table tennis balls like an installation to soften the edges. I used the marble and I tried to soften edges wherever he had made it. And this, we made marble into paintings, we made marble into clocks, we made marble into bookends, we made everything from marble as a show home, like a catalog for marble. And then I was asked, I was making so many things. I was asked by somebody, would you help in designing the exterior of a motorbike? And I thought, oh, what a good opportunity to work with my son. I asked him and he agreed. So we pulled out, and also it was for Java. And I had written on the back of my husband's Java motorbike in our early days. So I know the Java well. I said, okay. And I pulled out the references from my past, and for Java, the kind of imagery to do the exterior. My son brought his contribution to it, which is Iron Man and all these fellows to it. And then together we did it. Him in LA, working for Lexus and Toyota, and me over here working, night and day. We produced these exteriors for Java. In fact, this one, almost identical one, is being used, not with the tan seat. I think it has a black one. I make gifts for my clients for them to give out, like corporate gifts to few people. Like this is a marble light pencil. This is like a marble book lamp. And even things that they get for tea from the estates or spices, I package it all well so it looks beautifully gift wrapped. And then I was so lucky to get, invited to paint an elephant for the elephant parade. There were 101 artists who were asked to do it. And there again, I brainstormed with my business partner. I always do a lot of research. And I thought, what can I do to make it different? And I thought he told me, what about the blind men's story? I said, yeah, that's a lovely thing, because I can depict every story of the blind man and the elephant, all of the parts of the elephant as parts of the stories. And that's what I did. And the thought was, see more than you can see. So it goes on like that. I got Aisha Brocha, a lovely artist, a friend runner with me. I had a lovely style of painting, and I got her to paint the scenes, like the man holding the trunk of the tree is actually holding the elephant's leg. So that kind of imagery I put on. It got displayed in Gateway of India and it got bought right away. This is the last project which I did for RPG. Now the exterior, it was all locked down, and it was done in April during lockdown. We got permission from the BMC and from a lot of things. We had to maintain such strict protocol, but I managed to get 2 cranes, and I got a lovely artist, Samir Kulavur, who was brave enough to come and live there on site with the minimal crew, minimum people, and they were fed on site and kept there for 1 week while they painted a tribute, as Harsh wanted, to the COVID warriors in the city. So it was a wonderful tribute. It took about 1 week, as I said, but we worked through during the hardest time when everybody was locked down. And then what is the writing on the wall? Let's see what is there for me now. And I say, do I have these tools? Yes, I do. I have adventure, I have simplicity, I have the empathy, I have escape, I have reinvention. So I sit in my desk in my home, which is now I've reinvented into my office working space. I walk outside to my little garden and I shift and move the stones around. I try to find new things to do with new flowers, new plants. I shuffle the paintings around. Some are my children's drawings from school, but I mix it up so that I have an ongoing gallery. I look at my heart painting, which I bought with the music and the piano, and I think, that missing piece, it is always changing, it's ever changing, but it is never changing. Thank you.
Elsie, thank you so much. That was really, really beautiful. And it was, yeah, so lucky to have you here today and share your story. It was really wonderful to see all your many projects that you do. And you won't have noticed, I don't expect, but we've had so many messages on the chat just to say how inspiring and beautiful your work is. And it truly, truly is. You've got such a beautiful creative mind, and it's been an absolute pleasure.
Thank you, Helen. Thank
you today. It's been absolutely wonderful. Thank you. So we'll start the Q&A. We've got a couple. We've got some questions. So, but I just wanted to start with, because your work is so diverse and you've done basically every facet of design. So what made you make the shift from advertising to design when you went into interiors and other forms of design?
It was a stage in my life when a lot of advertising was becoming English and Hindi driven. And as you know, I'm a South Indian, I'm from Kerala. That's not the language that I really know. I mean, they don't think in Hindi. And it was getting more and more difficult. Every film script was with a celebrity or a film star. I dealt with every film star we have in the city, even the current ones, a lot of them. And I realized that really that is not what I want to do. And I thought, I should think about some options. At that time, I was invited to be a speaker in Design in Daba in Cape Town. And there I met a whole lot of designers. So I was the only representative from India in advertising. The rest, there was landscape designers, there were architects, there were product designers, there were fashion designers, there was everybody all in, and they were speaking one after the other. They were so inspiring. I just thought, I have to expand. I have to go away from what I don't want to do. And at that time, I was very fortunate that we sold our agency to Publicis, so I could get away. And for Publicis, I ran that graphic design company for 10 years. And then I'm on my own.
Good. Well, I'm very glad you did make the shift, because otherwise the world wouldn't have seen such wonderful projects. So that's great. But you seem, just looking at your work, it is very, very tied into your home life, and you've made such a beautiful life for yourself as well. But so it made me think about the separation between like home and work. Like, do you separate your home and work life? Do you get any rest, or are you constantly thinking about design?
I really feel sorry for my family, because although they have me the whole, physically, even today in the lockdown, they have me physically, my mind is always wandering from here to there, and it includes the work and it includes them. So they know about every detail about every project and every conversation. I have to tell somebody. And when I told my husband, would you like to attend the meeting? He said, I've heard it for 40 years now. So you do it. So it's like that. They know about everything, and it is part of my life. and it is, I take their advice on a lot of things. My daughter helps me with music now, my son helps me, my husband looks after my business completely, because I have zero knowledge about money and those things.
So you're all involved.
Yeah.
And can you share with us what you're working on now?
Well, right now I've got some such exciting projects ahead also. I'm going to be doing a children's park in Beach Candy. So it's a walk away from me. So I will become like the nanny of the park, I'm imagining, you know. I will be, like really go into details on that, which is about 3 acres of land next to the Beach Candy Hospital. So now I've got something in the hospital. There'll be something ahead on the park. And then and I've been invited to do, I'm working on a project with RPG on the public park bench, the public benches in Worli Sea Face. And there is a possibility that we're doing that with the CM. And then I'm working on 4 holiday homes, I think, all from home. So it's really nice because I dream. And then my young girls who come and work with me, they source things from Instagram and places and say, hey, this looks like what you'd like to put in. And we put things together like this on the computer. And it's fun to do actually, but you know, not so much fun when I get to the site, and there it's really hard work. And you know, and I feel so sorry actually for so many of the workers who can't come back yet. So that's been stalled a bit.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. And we have another question about how you deal with clients whose tastes are different to your own. Because this came up when you were talking about the advertising.
Yeah. So I try to stick to clients who like my sort of sense of aesthetic. And since there are enough of those, I'm not really out there looking to change somebody's mindset or view. If they want to buy into a style or want to buy into an idea, then I'm happy to do that. But I'm always very receptive to, I listen a lot. You know, initially I listen, I understand everything. I know I need to know them well in order to make their dreams come true, you know.
Yeah, and you're so used to collaborating, I guess it comes quite naturally as well.
That's right.
I think that's, does anyone else have any more questions? You do, I think there's, yeah, it might not be.
No,
yeah.
we are absolutely awestruck at her imagination.
Just completely overblown by the amount of work that you've done. So
we are beyond words.
yeah,
Oh,
see,
We are really beyond words. Beyond words. Elsie, which is a project you enjoyed the most?
Which I enjoyed the most.
Yeah.
You know, everything, I'm like a child. So everything I do, which is new, I feel so excited about it at that time, you know. Then it's like a new sweet. Then I got a new sweet. Okay, let's unwrap it and let's get into it. It's like that for me, you know. It's
Yeah, no, it's just amazing. Your work is just fabulous.
Elsie, how do you manage to keep so calm through everything? I've seen you dropping Johan to the school bus, and I see you now, and I've seen you at work. How do you keep so calm through all of this?
It's not actually, the thing is to be calm. The thing is about being calm is that you have to, you know, I was trained in advertising that I have to put myself in the audience shoes. Okay, either it's the consumer who's buying the product or it's the client, and you have to think, what would they think, what would they want to do, you know. When I was young and I was 30 years old and I got arrested for the Tufts ad, I was not calm. It was not a fun time for me. It was, I was pregnant with Arya, and you know, we had to live in another house and things like that because of that. But it's a situation which you have to deal with, because you have to put yourself in those people's shoes and say, okay, have some compassion and say, okay, maybe it's going to be like that, you know. So calm down. It's not you. There's nothing you can do. You cannot control everything.
That's true.
Aliza,
You're so inspirational because you take from nature and then you give back, and you truly actually just stay with your hold. And that spirit that's been with you since you were probably a baby till now is really coming through every little thing that you do. And hugely inspirational. I love every little bit of it.
Yeah, he loved it.
Thank you. I was actually, now that I'm 64, I can see things in hindsight that, oh yeah, I probably did it because of that. So it's a collection also because of time and because of my memories of what happened, which are recorded.
Beautiful. Just stunningly beautiful.
Thank
you.
Really stunningly beautiful.
Truly a special meeting. Thank you so much, Elsie.
Thank you, Elsie. And thank you.
Yes, Maria, it is a special meeting. It is a special meeting. I'm glad I
Thank you, Marie.
Yeah.
Again, an exceptional
We can
speaker
give her
and
a hand.
exceptionally wonderful.
Very good.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you
very much.
Very nervous.
Thank you, our chair ladies, and thank you.
All the best.
Thank you.
Very
nice. What a treat.
Thank you, chair ladies.
Thank
you. Honestly, a treat.
Thank you so much.
Had a lovely morning.
Thank you. It is lovely.
Amazing.
Very nice. Lovely, Sarita. Lovely
Can we,
meetings.
yeah, thank you. Can we give her a big hand?
Thank you very
ladies?
much. Beautiful meeting.
All of us.
Thank you all.
Maria and Sarita.
So beautiful. Let me tell you, she looks as elegant on the chair. And I see her sometimes when I'm coming back from Alibag with her hat and all that. She looks very elegant.
So who's that? I can't see. I don't know.
Dina Desai. I see you sometimes because even I have a home there.
Okay.
So I've seen you, and I also wear a hat, and you are always with your hat. So
Okay, Dina, thank you.
I want to say that Dozar Wadia did my house and he stays in Bhaktawar only.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, he's in Bhaktawar and he did my house in Bhaktawar.
Okay.
Dozar Wadia.
Noza he gave me a lot. He gave me a step into this world, actually.
Yeah, so he did my house.
Okay.
But you have your own style and your own way of thinking, which is so amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Really is.
It's so beautiful also.
Elsie?
Thank you.
Elsie, hi, this is Anupam here.
Hi, Anupam. Where are you?
It was fantastic.
Thank you, Anupam. So, Anupam
have to
is my good friend. Yeah.
Elsie, we
You
were
don't have to
transported.
worry about it.
We were transported to the Mediterranean coast.
I know.
Thank you so much.
Mykonos, my God.
Anybody
Superb.
can be.
I've had the good luck to come and see your house in Kashid and yours in Ashok's, and it's really beautiful.
Thank you.
It's Mykonos.
Carry on doing such wonderful work, Elsie.
Thank you.
All the best, Elsie.
Thank
Hope
you.
sometimes in Alibag.
Yeah. Do
Yeah.
drop in and see the house anytime.
So I am in Sasa May, Awas.
Okay.
And going this weekend actually.
Okay. My husband, being Parsi, doesn't want to take any chances, so we are still waiting. Now they say we don't need an e-pass and things, so now he's considering when to go.
But the Roro is very safe, because you're in your car.
That's what I was told, yes.
Yeah.